Ladies and gentlemen, we are not live, but we are coming to you from the Roofing on the Rise studios, where we are sponsored by the Chad T. Wilson Law Firm. When the insurance company denies, delays, or defends their position, reach out to me. I'll get you in contact with the right people over at Chad T. Wilson Law Firm. Today and every day, we have an amazing guest and topic. And today will be no different. Today, we got Scott Friedson. Scott, what's up, brother?
Good to be here. How you doing?
Man, I'm excited to have you on. Last time we talked, it was in Vegas. We shot an awesome podcast, and the audio was trash.
I know.
So
It was tragic, but we had a good
um,
time doing it.
we did. So I'm excited to have you back on. Thank you for coming back on today.
Yeah, it's good to be here. Geek out on
Man,
insurance claims.
this is what we do, right? We've had a
Yeah.
lot of changes that have happened in the roofing industry in the last few weeks, last month, the last 6 months. Over the summer, we had Hurricane Beryl. We had a lot of absolute monumental changes, not to mention the crazy hailstorms across the Midwest and into Texas. Um, do you think that the government's messing with like HARP or something and like
I don't know. I think
changing this?
I think to do that would give them too much credit,
Oh, come
but I
on.
wouldn't be surprised. I don't know. I don't really dive into conspiracy theories, but you are right. I mean, it's been a very active hail season. Hurricanes already, and then we had that very strange El Derecho straight line wind event
Oh
before the
yeah.
hurricane that
Yeah.
that kind of just everybody's already forgotten about. But
Yep.
yeah, I mean, there's been a lot going on, and in fact, I don't know anybody's really talking about all the fires too in West Texas. I mean,
Ooh.
it's taken
Yeah.
on like the size of some of the fires I've seen in California. So yeah, lots of activity for sure.
I think that they're definitely playing with some technology, like some cloud seeding. They're doing something to increase the activity for sure. It's I don't think it's just global warming, but that's just me. Uh,
Yeah.
so we were just kind of talking a little bit before wind claims, hurricanes, and deductibles. Oh my.
Yeah. Oh
Um,
my.
you know, all those have definitely changed here, over the last year. Could you, briefly touch about some of these things?
Yeah, sure. Well, for those who don't know me, I'm Scott Friedson. I'm a public adjuster, and I own insurance claim recovery support, and been in business for over 15 years. Seen a lot of changes over the years, and we specialize in commercial and multifamily large loss claims. And we would be remiss if we were not to also mention the enormous increase in premiums that
Mm,
people are paying. And so
yeah.
before it was just like, insurance, just the cost of business. You just deal with it. And then people started noticing, God, my premium or my deductibles are starting to go up, and now people are very sensitive to
Mhm.
what they're paying in premiums, what they're getting in terms of coverage, what their deductibles are, and the management of the management of assets for risk has exponentially increased. If you're a commercial or multifamily operator or homeowners association, even religious organizations, I can't tell you how many churches we've helped over the years. It's getting brutal. It is brutal. I
Yeah.
mean, we've seen churches that have been completely dropped. They don't know what to do. We've had a church that had no insurance because the length of the time it was taking for the claim to get settled. You really, and in that particular case, it wasn't the fault of anybody. It was just the circumstances because of the type of roofing material. It was a slate tile roof in a small town. It just
I
took
had
a
a,
long time
uh
to get it there.
I had a pastor call. He reached out to me, because I was a roofer for 11 years as well, and he reached out to me recently, and he's like, "Hey, I've got an adjuster coming, can you come and just, like, talk to this guy? I don't know what's going on." I've never done anything at this church. You know, help me out." And so I sat down with him and he gave me all the emails that they're sending him, and, like, he filed a barrel claim, and they're giving him information about, like a claim 2 years ago. So they're not even reporting anything about the current claim. They're kinda trying to confuse him, and they're, like, giving him the stats on the last claim, and they're trying to not even report on the new claim. And they've already came out to the property, they've already adjusted, they all that stuff. So, it's interesting to see what insurance carriers do to churches all the time. It's not
Yeah, I
just
mean,
like a random occurrence.
and it's not just churches. I mean, it's
Right.
across the board. It's funny you say that. I just settled a claim last week where you increased it by 780%.
Oof.
And the way that I was like, I shouldn't even be here, but okay,
Yeah,
fine. I mean, this roof was completely totaled.
yeah,
The carrier had already been out there once, and instead of initiating coverage and extending coverage for that damage, they, just like you said, they went back to an old claim, and they said,
yeah,
"Oh, we've already paid this claim 2
yep,
years ago, or a year and a half ago." And we're like, "No,
yep,
this is a new loss."
yep,
And they're like, "Oh, no, no, they never did the work." I'm like, "Well, let's see the old claim." So I talked to
yeah,
it was an ACV only repair, so there was no recoverable depreciation. And I said, "Well, do you have the repair receipt?" They sure did. They produced it. I sent it to them. I said, "Look, they did the work
yeah.
based on what you paid on that little repair deal, and now this is a totally separate cause of loss. You need to pay this claim." And they did, but I refer to those little distractions. I call them weapons of mass distraction, right?
Yeah,
Instead of staying
yeah.
on point, you're welcome. Trademarked Scott Friedson. Um,
Let's go.
yeah, maybe. So yeah, I mean, that's what
Ah,
it is. It's crazy. I mean,
yeah,
I can appreciate that adjusters have a job to do, roofing contractors have a job to do, general contractors. Everyone's got a role, but it's like, come on,
yeah.
if we just pursue the truth, we'll get to the bottom of what needs to happen. But you
The
have to
problem
consider the
is
truth.
that but they don't wanna do that because that doesn't please stockholders, and, it also doesn't, please any of the managers that are getting bonuses for them not claiming, right, or it going to a no claim status, be it that it's no payout, right?
You're not
So, it
wrong.
doesn't fit their mold, it it's a money-making scheme, you see? It's a money-making scheme. They're here to make money. That's what insurance has always done. It just so happens that they'll cover a loss if and when they feel like it, right? And it
Well,
just
and that all
now
depends on your definition of covered, right? I've sat in legislative sessions and
Mhm.
I've listened to insurance executives argue and complain to the state lawmakers saying, we paid that claim and we still got sued. And it turns out like you paid that claim, like if you and I went to dinner and ordered appetizers, salad, main course, after dinner drinks, and dessert, and then I just paid for dessert and said, "Well, I paid for dinner." You paid for a portion of dinner. You like that? Copyright
I
Scott
like
Friedson.
I li I like that.
We're gonna have more fun, I guarantee it. 'Cause
I'm definitely gonna have to use that in the future for sure. Uh,
take
I
notes.
know Alright, so listen.
Yeah,
So, insurance adjusters, from what I'm hearing, they're demanding more and they're given less, right? So, how does the new laws with UPA, how does that restrict contractors here in the Texas market?
yeah. I don't know if that's a new law, but you're referring to UPPA, unauthorized practice of public adjusting. For those that don't
Yeah,
know, but and it's been a real stink among the contractors and the public adjusting community. And I don't belong to any of these associations that push that agenda. My thing is it takes teamwork to make the
yeah,
dream work, and this divide
yeah,
and conquer stuff never works, right?
yeah,
So you know I understand the argument of free speech, but I also understand the position of you have to have a license in order to perform certain
Yeah.
functions for which a consumer or business is, you know, is you're acting as their fiduciary, right? I
Right.
mean, we have to be bonded, we have to have background checks, we have to pass a test, and you have to, and just that alone, just like a real estate license or any other license, doesn't get you to be proficient in the job and the arena of negotiating insurance claim settlements, right?
Right.
So to those that are, on, that are struggling with that, it's like, look, the highest and best use of time for a person like myself, a public adjuster, is taking in new claims, settling existing claims, right, within my authority. And I have authority to do that. That's what my license gives me: authority
Yeah.
to negotiate, interpret policy, make demands on the insurance company, all kinds of things that compel them to perform in
Yeah.
most cases. Sometimes they just don't, they'll just shut down. But even if they shut down, we have a claim right now where the carrier has not responded to our last 3 or 4 offers to settle, and they keep pushing, it's like this repeat. So we're going over this adjuster's head, going to the claim supervisor, and then she's pushing it back down to this person. So I'm going right back up to that claim supervisor, right? Like, so I can keep pushing that envelope and pushing it to get them to negotiate a settlement. But like to your point earlier, is maybe there's something else going on. Maybe there's some sort of bonus that's going on for both the manager and for this adjuster. And so when they become non-responsive like that, and they just don't move, and they just don't, then, and we've made multiple attempts, then that's what a situation, what I refer to as you're being forced to sue. And now
Yeah.
we're getting a little bit away from the UPPA thing, but
Right.
getting
Well,
back to that.
it kinda the reason why I asked about the UPPA to wrangle this back in, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Because,
Sorry, I digress.
no, you are good because when you get to that point and you don't have any, I mean, you've gotta refer that out to somebody, right? It's got to go to a law firm. Law firm's got to, pick that up, and they all has to be done with the insured. The insurer's got to be happy. They got to contract everybody out, and this is a long process. It's a long, drawn out, right? But the reason why I ask this is because there's a recent Supreme Court ruling here in Texas that is like within the last, I want to say 90 days, right? The Texas Department of Insurance versus Stonewater. I may be wrong on 90 days, but yeah, it's August, so it's not
This
too
year.
far out of there. It's this year. Stonewater Roofing versus Texas Department of Insurance. Do you have anything to say about it?
Well, I'm not a lawyer, and I'm not giving legal advice or interpreting the law. Of course, it's my disclaimer. But in my opinion, I don't think it's anything new. I think it
Yeah.
just reiterates what's already out there. But one thing that does give me pause to wonder is, if and it's been this way for a long time, but now the Supreme Court has ruled that that contractors cannot negotiate insurance claims.
Yeah.
I feel, in my opinion, it begs the question, then can appraisers negotiate
Ooh.
insurance settlements?
Mm,
Because they're not licensed.
mm,
There's no barrier to entry, right? So
mm.
if it's illegal for a contractor to do it, why is it okay then for appraisals and appraisers to
If
do
you're
that?
watching, I wanna hear in the comments right now what you think about this, because I know this is a touchy subject, but this is what we do. This is it we gotta peel back the onion to really, like, get better in this industry. So, what do you think? Um, Post it in the comments. Sorry
Yeah.
about that.
And I'm not saying I have a position one way or another, but I'm saying
Yeah.
it does beg the question, right?
I mean, I have a position because I am no longer a roofing contractor. I do not work for distribution. I got no strings on me, baby. Let's go.
Yeah.
Um as a contractor, for the longest time, I would try to do as much as I could for that client, right? There were many times in which that, uh, you know, my expertise on the job was required more than what the PAs was at one point. tornado loss, etc. And I got more for the client than the PA could have ever imagined. Like crazy. This is not always the case. I started to wonder, right? This is before UPA. Could I just handle everything, right? Could I bridge that gap? But I kept on running into a lot of issues. And so when UPA came through, I decided, you know what? I think it's a good idea to delegate, right? And it's also helps in scaling. So if you're watching, you're a roofing contractor and you're trying to scale, it's awesome for scaling as well. When you delegate, deny claims, uh, and bad faith to insurance appraisers and lawyers, and PAs, you free up a lot of your time. And so that's what I decided to do. And I feel that Stonewater, uh, Stonewater wanted to make um, that stance of, "Hey, you're breaking my constitutional rights. It is my right to free speech. You cannot, tell me what I can and cannot say." But, lawyers have to, go through a tons of law school, PAs as well. You take a schooling as well, a test, a background check, etcetera. Same thing with lawyers. You're held to a very high standard, and it only makes sense that on the insurance side, that they require insurance agents to be licensed as well, and insurance adjusters to be licensed as well. So why wouldn't, and I'm gonna play off the appraiser card too, why wouldn't appraisers or contractors be required to have some sort of license, some sort of training and requirements that have you know, changes the barrier from here to, like, here, right? Not here, but, like, here. Just make it just a little bit hard enough so that, like, not every Tom, Dick, and Harry can get a roofing company. You know what I mean?
You just said a mouthful, and as I'm listening to you, I'm thinking, okay, I probably need to be taking some notes because, um, you know, there's you just said a mouthful. But first off, I do want to go on record to say that not every claim needs a public adjuster. Okay,
Yeah.
if it's
Or a
if it's
lawyer,
wrong, huh?
or
Or
a
a lawyer,
lawyer,
absolutely not.
or a
No,
lawyer, or an
and
appraiser.
right, or an appraiser, and if you're a public adjuster, you don't need to be sending every one of your files to an attorney. Okay. I do
Ooh,
not like that practice at all. Our MO is settle claims. Now, I'm not saying that we never have claims go to legal, but
yeah.
a vast majority of our claims get settled without going to legal or appraisal. Okay. So now,
Do
if it's,
do you
if
think
things,
do you to play on this, right? To,
yeah, yeah,
like, dig into this onion, right? Do you
yeah.
think that most PAs do they refer a lot of their cases or the majority of their cases to law firms? Do you think that they do this because it's getting harder and they're getting more pushback from these adjusters where they're just absolutely not moving forward? Or is it a case of they're maybe a little lazy, right?
Well, I
What do you
can't.
think?
I don't want to make a global statement across the board, but I can tell you that I think there are different kinds of public adjusters. Okay, there are
Right.
those that are scorched earth, and most of their claims end up in litigation or appraisal.
Yeah.
There are those that are so worried about their relationship with the insurance carriers that they roll over and they really don't fight for their policyholders. Okay,
Yeah.
and also, I feel like there is not really great training out there for public adjusters to learn how to settle a claim. A lot of these associations are sponsored by law firms, and they have
Okay.
a very important place. But you know, the deal is that because my background is commercial real estate, is to broker apartment complexes, and I've been very fortunate. I've got a really awesome team around me of commercial insurance attorneys that are like board certified, and people like the Wilson Law Firm. There's others, but it's not like a huge ocean of to pick from. All right, there's some
Yeah.
very 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 specific niche players in this market. So
He did
um,
say Chad T. Wilson Law Firm.
I
Just
did
just
because he's
confirm that for everybody.
exactly fine law firm. Um, but uh, now I lost my train of thought. But to your
I
point, no, but
I
to your point, there are different types of public adjusters, and I think that's a
yeah,
really important question.
yeah,
If you're a roofing contractor listening to this, that's a very important question to ask. By
yeah,
what percentage of your claims end up going to litigation?
yeah.
Now, I will also say this: sometimes the smaller claims they put up a way bigger fight, or they just have people on their end that are not that savvy, and it's like, oh
Yes.
my gosh, if I have to send the
Dude,
same
why
freaking
is that? It just does not make sense to me. Like, okay, so, I walked a loss earlier today, $5 million property. The insurance adjuster, uh, I was gonna get on the roof, right? He's like, "Just just hold the ladder, I got it." I'm like, "Okay." Gets up on the roof and he's like, "Man, it looks kinda tight over here." And he's like, "This is a historical home, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, it was built in 1932. Anything that we do to this has to be uniform." He's like, "Yeah. Okay. Where's the damage?" And I point to it and he goes, "No problem. We're paying for it." I'm like, "What?"
there's
Whereas I have met on a property where they're paying way over what they should be paying in insurance. And you're talking about a 40, 50 square roof where they just deny, flat out deny. And I mean, it is clear, right?
yeah.
Black and white. I just don't get it. And I think the the majority of, and I can't speak for public adjusters, but I know that the majority of contractors out there that deal with denials, they just want their client taken care of, right?
Right.
They want the client taken care of because that takes care of everyone.
Yep.
So it moves the ball forward. How do you think what's the biggest thing that you see as a pushback from the carriers right now for these insurance claims from, like, let's say 30 to 70 and then from 70 on?
I mean, in terms, O&P is always a hot topic.
Yeah,
Excessive depreciation, applying exclusions that don't really exist, engineer
yeah.
reports that have no substance. It's all opinion. There's no
Ooh,
credibility. It's across the board. I mean, it's not really. I guess you could say under 70,000, they typically aren't getting engineer reports, but um, it's improper investigations, improper inspections, twisting the facts of a claim. I mean, we've seen people that straight up like come back and just like, this is a hail claim.
yeah,
This isn't sudden and accidental. Or they'll change a claim number, or they'll try to add another. Oh, that's a separate occurrence. We have interior moisture. That's a separate occurrence. No, it's not. It's ensuing
yeah,
from the original cause of loss. There's all kinds of stuff. But I
yeah,
guess the thing that people need to understand is that you know the insurance company has a duty to perform proper investigation. Okay,
yeah.
which is a subjective term. The policyholder actually bears the burden of proving their claim. And a lot
Mm,
of people don't know that. What the
mm,
what the insurance company bears the burden of is proving that an exclusion applies. Okay. And so this
okay.
is where the rub comes in. And this is where, like going back to that whole freedom of speech thing is like, I just read a book on how to fly a helicopter. Do you want to go for a ride with me?
I mean, I'll go for a ride in a helicopter with you, but I'm not
I'm
riding in
gonna
a
fly
helicopter you're operating.
it. Right. I mean, you wouldn't have a podiatrist do brain surgery on you. So I mean, just
Exactly.
because you can doesn't mean you should, right? And so I think if you just kind of compartmentalize that whole argument and just go, look, what's the highest and
Just
best use of your time?
just
As a roofing
because you
contractor that's
can.
getting new jobs, finishing existing jobs, right? If I could
That's
legally also own a roofing or general contracting company on top of what I do as a public adjuster, I still wouldn't do it, even if I could, because this is a
it's not
full
right.
time gig. It requires a
Yeah,
whole level of expertise. You
yeah,
know, again, you don't need a PA for every claim, but If it's
Yeah.
not going right at the beginning, it generally doesn't get better.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. That's why, I developed a relationship with the PA, closer to the middle of my, career. I did roofing for about 11 years, and I'm still doing it, right? So, but in the middle of that time, I realized that, I just couldn't do it all, right? And also, like you said, should I do it all, right? And I felt like it was important that I let the PAs, the appraisers, and the law firms do their jobs and let me do my job. And that is take care of the client's construction, right?
Right.
I don't have to know their policy. I don't have to know how many hits of squares in there. Now I do, but listen, if they're not paying for a simple loss, I'm not jumping through hoops and lifting up. I can't do anything. I'm not in my eyes now, I feel like more contractors should rely heavily on PAs, appraisers, and law firms. And the whole reasoning behind that is what I just said, giving taking the responsibility off, also liability off of you, and 2, you're delegating your time so much more. I mean, the
Yeah.
time that you dedicate, as I can't tell you how many times that I mean, and I get, like, taking some rain days, right, and looking at the computer and, like, okay, going through AccuLynx or, Roofer, Job Nimbus, or whoever, plug your CRM here, and we're gonna go through all the denials, and we're gonna call them back, and we're gonna set up re-inspections, we're gonna send it. I mean, is that worth your time doing that? Or could you just, like, press export all those that didn't go through and just send that over to someone more qualified than you
I
on that?
mean,
Because you didn't get it done, and I'm not saying that you're not qualified to get it done, but you may not be qualified to get it done,
I
right?
mean, ask yourself this question, anybody that's in this business, and ask yourself, where am I putting 80% of my time? Right.
Yep.
And what is the most effective use of my time? And I think even I've done this myself, right? I'm like, you know what? 80% of my day is probably stuff that I could be outsourcing and delegating,
Yeah,
because the 20% that I'm a rock star at, that's what I should be doing 100% of the time. And if
yeah,
you're listening to this and you're a rock star, and you know you're a rock star, you've been in the business for a long time, and you know it because you're busy, and you're so busy
mhm,
that you can barely stay afloat, right? You like
yeah,
not afloat financially, but it's very fast paced. You
yeah,
know, delegate it, take
yeah,
it, but make sure whoever you're sending it to, you're not going to go from the frying pan into the fire, right? You want to make sure you're dealing with somebody who's experienced, legitimate, knows what they're doing, and isn't going to gum it up, you know?
and if it's a
So,
lawyer, Chad T. Wilson Law Firm, they take care of their clients. They are here for you, and you deserve Chad T. Wilson Law Firm. Sorry, I gotta say that. I
you,
love my sponsors at Chad T. Wilson. Not only are they awesome lawyers, but they're good people.
they
Really
are,
love those guys.
yeah,
Uh,
all good people.
not to mention, like, the swag. Swag
Yeah.
is on point. This is a JBL Clip 3. It's waterproof. I take this into the shower, to the freaking, to the gym. I take it to everywhere, dude. This thing goes, and then when I podcast, it's right here.
Yeah. That's cool.
It reminds me of them. Yeah. And if you need some Chad T. Wilson swag, just reach out to me. I got you. So engineer reports. I want to jump into engineer reports because that's kind of a hot topic right now too. Is like, engineers are consistently going out to properties now. You see more consultant firms as well going out to larger losses. And engineers just right off the jump, like the instead of the carrier coming out to the property, they send an engineer. Is there do you have an opinion on why that happens?
It's a great question, because we've done millions and millions of dollars in fire claims, and
Yeah.
rarely do they bring out an engineer. But if it's a hail claim or a wind claim, the engineer's right there. And it's like, really, you
Why?
can't, because They gotta check their boxes, and they gotta because here's what happens. Okay,
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
here
That's
it is.
it.
Here it is. Here it is. You ready? An engineer is considered an expert. Okay.
Mhm.
So what the insurance company will do is they hire, if you ever notice, they hire pretty much the same engineer firms. Okay. And if you call in those engineer firms and you ask them, hey, do you guys ever do work for policyholders or public adjusters? Most of them are going to say no. They only work
Yeah.
for insurance companies. So the engineer expert report is an opinion. And that is what the insurance company is
A
paying for.
a biased opinion at that, because they're fiscally, uh, being supported,
Monetarily, financially tied,
right?
they have to
They're
make a business
I
decision.
100 and I mean, but hold on. If you say that, then you could also say that lawyers, PAs, and appraisers, umpires are all fiscally tied into it as well because they're all getting paid on that as well.
The saw cuts both ways, right? So, yeah, yep, trademark Scott Friedson. Anyway, so,
Yeah.
but here's the thing. When an engineer renders an opinion, okay, for an insurance company, and as long as it's not fraud, all right,
Yeah.
they're entitled to whatever opinion they want. Okay. And that insurance company is going to rely on that opinion. It's deferred maintenance, it's improper installation, it's bird poop, it's fungus, it's whatever the deal is. Okay.
Right.
I've heard all of them. Okay. So, um,
I've gotten bird poop paid for.
okay, good. Vandalism, right? Um,
I didn't
those
ask. He
malicious
just
birds.
paid. I did not say anything. I just showed up. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. He just paid for
You're
it.
fine.
I had to say that.
It's all good. Um, but that's why, like we've seen it over the years. We just had a multi-million-dollar claim settle earlier this year on it was in Houston. It was an HOA, and
Ooh,
it was in the Galleria area on it's almost a 6-acre property. It was big. I can't tell you the name,
okay.
but you would know it.
I would know it,
And
yeah.
you would know the name because you would know the area as soon as I told you the name. Okay.
Yep.
But nevertheless, this was an insurance company, a very big one that was withdrawing from multiple states.
Yeah.
That there was a lot of rumors that they were going down, and um, they hired this engineer from out of state. Which, by the way, that's a whole nother topic. We'll get
UPC?
to. I can't tell
UPC?
you names, but in any event, they came back and said no damage at all, not on the soft metals, not on the shingles, not on the mod bit, not on the
Oh, it's
shutters,
UPC.
not on the gutters and downs. It was UPC, so nothing, nothing, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, well, thank you, because your report is so over the top disingenuous because we have evidence of physical damage all over. I mean,
Yep.
the soft metal dents are there, the hits on the shingles are there. I did not put in the mod bit, but the
Yeah.
engineer that the policyholder retained, after we got their engineer report, he did opine that there was hail damage to the mod bit, and I was like, well, I'm just a lowly PA, what do I know? If my expert says it, then I'm going to rely
I
on my
love it.
expert report, just like the
Yep.
insurance company relies on their expert report. Saw cuts both ways. So
Yeah.
what happens when we get in these situations is that now we have a legitimate dispute, right? We have a battle of the experts that's going on, right? And I think you and I talked about this at the trade at the IRE show earlier this year. Is that the insurance companies are required by law to take into consideration anything that supports a policyholder's position equal to their own interests.
Yeah.
So tie goes to the runner. So if I've got an engineer report and they've got an engineer report and I've got physical damage and they don't, but I've got other things that help support that policyholder's position,
Yeah.
then what they're supposed to do is go, okay, you've met the burden of proof, policyholder, and we need to indemnify you properly.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, Sometimes it does happen that way. A lot of times, I mean, I've got a whole list of claims here that I pulled up before a meeting that we've increased by, like the smallest one is 31.73%. The biggest one is 8,300%.
Yeah.
Actually, the biggest
Yeah.
one is infinite because they were denied claims that turned into actual settlements. But
Right.
I mean, we got everything in between. It ranges from churches to apartments to condos to townhouses to hotels. There's no discrimination. They don't like anybody.
What do you insur Listen, insurance carriers, if you're watching and you're just like, "Man, these guys are beating up the insurance carriers." They're listen, they do billions of dollars worth of campaigns for, marketing, and they spend those billions freely, easily, right?
Oh yeah.
They pay out these bonuses, they pay out everybody's mad about the CEO of Starbucks. I'll, like, venture into that real quick. And this guy needs jet fuel, so go and buy Starbucks coffee because he needs some jet fuel. They're pissed off. Everybody's pissed off that he's got a jet. Now listen, on the fucking insurance side, all right, we're gonna go back from the insurance side. These guys, same thing. They're flying around in private jets. These guys are execs. They've got $1 million homes. The tops at the insurance chains. Those guys are made. Okay,
Oh yeah.
they do not stay that way if they give all their money away. And so it's it's a money-making scheme, you see? It's a money-making scheme. They they gotta make the money, and they
Right.
gotta keep the honey, or else it ain't ticking, no ticky, no
Yeah.
laundry. The problem is that they insure people and not just like corporations, right? So like you mess over a corporation, then I mean it is what it is. You can file, certain things on taxes to like write it off and things like that. As a homeowner, what recourse do you have when your insurance carrier goes out of business or doesn't pay your claim?
There
You have
actually is there actually are at least in Florida there was one they have I think it's called FIGA. It's like a backstop for the insurance companies. I'm pretty sure
okay.
Texas has that too. But there are backstops that are in place. And also don't forget reinsurance, okay? And I'm not going to sit here and proclaim I'm some kind of reinsurance expert, but I know that a lot of insurance carriers complain about premiums going up because of the reinsurance market is so hard. So,
Yeah.
it all trickles down to the
Well, I
policyholder,
mean,
but
that kinda talks about, like, the changes in policies, right? I think that that's a major point here recently where, you get into an insurance claim and you see that it's a scheduled policy, or you get into it, also, we haven't even talked about MRPs. That's something else that we could talk about, but let's
we need to
on
talk about that
MRPs.
because I've got something for your audience I think you're gonna like. Go on.
Okay, okay, so first off, what do you think about MRPs? Me too. All
That's
right.
my professional opinion.
Me too. I was actually there when Elsie walked on the stage in Vegas, uh, at SVG, and he was like, I know, all you guys know me, as a antichrist of the roofing industry, and, I won't deny it." And I was like, "What?" Dude could have just dropped the mic and walked off stage immediately, right? And those of you that don't know, LC Newsbeck was the original owner and founder of Mad Sky LLC or LLC, which is a type of managed repair program that dealt with Liberty Mutual and Safeco and a myriad of different insurance carriers to basically uh, become in my professional opinion, the judge, jury, and executioner on a claim. Basically, they get the call from the homeowner, and this is how it happened there. They had a whole call center. They get the call from the homeowner. They're intaking the claim. They intake that claim, and then they push it out to one of their adjusters. The adjusters are roofing contractors like me and you. Contractor goes out. You may be even hooked up with a managed repair program, but listen, you gotta listen to what's going on here. Okay, so they then adjust the property and tell the homeowner that if you select us, you don't have to pay deductible because we are a preferred vendor, and the insurance company will pay your deductible. Now, if a contractor not associated with the MRP program went out and did that exact same thing, what would happen?
They accuse him of fraud.
Okay. So before MRPs were a big thing, right? And it was just kind of like starting, they've always had these like direct to repair, right? Uh, a- and that was the start, direct to repair. If you don't know what that is, when you take your car after a hailstorm or you take your car after an insurance loss, could even be comp and collision, and you take it in that shop, you pay them the deductible, and they deal with the insurance carrier completely, and the insurance carrier sends them the check. You don't get the check; they get the check. Okay, so that's how the MRP is now. They're not licensed, so why would that be allowed, and why would that be legal?
That's a great question, and for those that are passionate about the UPPA stuff, really need to redirect their focus to the managed repair programs, because
Yeah,
that is really I think one of the biggest exposures and risks in the industry. That being said, I will tell you that you know one of the things that we find, because we do work with a lot of roofing contractors, and from time to time an insurance company will go, well, we want to do a bid, right? You've seen this before,
yeah,
right? They want to do
yep,
a bid. But we've had some really effective arguments in that, let's not forget what an insurance policy actually is. It's a contract of indemnity, right?
yeah.
And to be indemnified means that you're paid at fair market price, fair market value, which is why Xactimate exists. Okay. And fair market price, by definition, is a willing buyer and a willing seller under no outside pressure strike a deal.
Mm.
Okay. The moment that a policyholder, a consumer, business person is put into a situation where they have to, where there's a competitive
That's
bid
pressure.
is a scheme. By
Yeah,
definition, it is a scheme designed to drive down
the price.
price, which flies in the face opposite of what your indemnity contract for fair market value is all about. Okay. Now, that's an
Because
argument,
because
and it's a good
if I
argument.
if I'm not if I'm not wrong, an insured could take a a a whole document, right? Like a whole file with all their photos, all that. The insurance carrier says, "Yep, we're gonna extend coverage." Says, "Okay, cool. We're gonna hire a contractor." Hires a contractor, takes care of said scope, right?
Mhm.
Pays whatever, right? Doesn't matter what it cost. They wanted to do business with them because they are the trusted company in their area.
Bingo.
Submits that into the insurance carrier. Am I wrong?
Oh,
Would
you
the
froze.
insurance carrier pay that? Would the insurance carrier pay for that? Ladies and gentlemen, having some technical difficulties here. Scott. Uh-oh.
There you are.
There
Did
there
you
he
freeze up
is.
there
There he
too? What the
is.
heck happened?
Uh, Let's go. Hey, listen, it is not a Roofing on the Rise podcast unless there is some sort of technical difficulty, is what it is.
Hey, stuff happens. We got to pivot, right?
I have to pivot. Well, hey, so listen, insurance carriers are making it harder on the insured. If the insured turns in a document that says that they've paid everything, am I wrong that the insurance carriers has to pay for that?
I mean, you mean before? I mean, after they've extended coverage or before they
Yeah,
extend coverage?
after extended
After they've
coverage.
extended coverage, yeah. I mean, if you've got X dollars in coverage, and then let's say they withheld, let's say it's $100,000 claim, No deductibles here. I'm just going to go 100,000.
Yeah.
They've depreciated by 25%. So you got $25,000 in withheld or coupled depreciation. If you've got $100,000 in incurred expenses, okay, they paid invoice and evidence of payment. There you
Yeah.
go, 100 grand. That $25,000 needs to be released.
Right. Yeah, and
Yeah,
it just kinda goes to the point of, like, lump sum contracting, right? And that's kind of the point is what I was saying is that, contractors get and not only contractors, but also insureds get pulled into that, scheme, and I think it's detrimental. But we're running really, really shy on time today.
yeah.
What would be, like, 2 major takeaways that you'd say that if somebody was sitting here watching, contractor, public adjuster, law firm, or a consumer, what would be 2 good takeaways that you would get from this?
I think that the two. Okay, first of all, the insurance claim process is very complex and it is designed to wear you out. Okay, I don't care what side of the fence you're on. I mean, the plaintiff attorneys will tell you. I mean, everybody will tell you. They have your money. If you want it, you have to extract it from them. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's a very time consuming process and it requires a lot of expertise. It's not for the faint of heart. And I'm not talking about small, daily claims, 5, 10,000, $25,000 claims. I'm talking about 6, 7, 8 figure, 9 figure claims. Okay.
Yeah.
They're not just going to write a check. And the second thing is know your rights. Look at look at your I don't care what state you're in. Every state has insurance code statutes. Just Google whatever state Texas insurance code for property claims statutes and learn them, see what comes up. But you may be surprised. Some states don't even license insurance adjusters. Okay, some states just they feel like well they're fine, but we have to have one as a public adjuster. Yeah. Um, so I would just say, know your rights, know your remedies, ask a lot of questions, and there a lot of people are very attached to their belief systems. Appraisers feel like appraisal is the best way to go. Public adjusters feel like a public adjuster is the best way to go. Roofers think that they can do it all. But I will say one last thing I think is important to mention is we touched on it earlier, and for all the roofing contractors that are listening, is that I think one of the biggest things you can do for yourself, do yourself a favor is in the sales process. We always say we're a big fan of managing upfront expectations. In the beginning
Yes.
of that sales process,
Oh, no.
I think it's important to there it is, take 5
There
or
it is.
10 minutes to explain to the policyholder that you're going to try to run this, try to get this approved. But if it doesn't get approved, this is plan A, B, and C
Yeah.
for them to choose from. Because when you go in and say, I can do it all, and I'm going to get it all done for you, and I'm going to be your one stop shop and get it all done, and then you run into turbulence, it's hard to backpedal, right? And be like, well, I know I told you this. It's kind of like, I'll use this analogy. I read this book back when I was a broker, and it was talking about when you go on an airplane and you have a pilot. Okay, that pilot does not know if you're going to hit turbulence or not.
Right.
But if they do hit turbulence, you want to have an experienced pilot that can maneuver and navigate through that turbulence so you have a safe landing, right?
Right.
So someone like myself as a public adjuster, that we're the same role, right?
Yeah.
And the claims never go like smooth as silk, never, like ever.
Yeah.
There's always
Yeah.
something. So
Yeah.
hopefully that's some
I
good advice that some folks can take.
Absolutely. I mean, I think it's important to note that if you're a contractor and, somebody's asking you to negotiate their insurance claim that you just like you said, you put the education in front of them. And for me, it was having a proper pitch deck. So if you don't have one of those, I have, really, really good friends, Elizabeth, over at Business 411. Love to connect you with her. She has amazing hand tailored manuals that'll really, really help you out. But today and every day, we are sponsored by the Chad T. Wilson Law Firm, where the insurance carrier denies delays and defends their position. Reach out to me. I'll get in contact with the right person over at Chad T. Wilson. Every day that we are on, we have an awesome guest, and today was no different. Today we had Scott. Scott, thank you so much for coming along. It was an awesome ride.
I really enjoyed it.
Me too,
Anytime.
brother. You have an awesome day. And ladies and gentlemen, if you're still watching, please like and subscribe. Don't forget to like and subscribe our guests too. Have a great day. And once again, it was